Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And those dead bodies are the spiritually dead bodies of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the true children of Israel in the United States of America, which is that great city. As it says in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 16, he that wandereth out of the way of understanding is in the congregation of the dead. For the majority of our people in America, whether they've heard that they're Israelites or not, hey, they want to continue being everything else under the sun but who they truly are. They want to be black, Mexican, Native American, African American, follow these different religions and philosophies out here, continue to be a Baptist, a Christian, a Buddhist, a Muslim, even an atheist. And the reason the United States of America is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt is because, for one, it's serving in the same function that ancient Egypt served for the children of Israel, as a place of hardcore bondage and slavery, where you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are looked at as the lowest in society. You're the first fired, the last hired, and you're the ones doing all the, the dirty jobs, so to speak, in this country. A couple of months ago, I did a video showing that there's been an uptick in deaths of so-called black and Latino workers on the job. And also, this country has a lot of the same symbolisms and practices as ancient Egypt. Just look at the back of the $1 bill with the pyramid, with the all-seeing eye. You've got places called Memphis, Tennessee, which also has a pyramid in it. And over in Las Vegas, you've got the Luxor, which I believe is a hotel/casino, which is in the shape of a pyramid. They've also got a mock sphinx there. If you just look at it, the examples just continue to come out. And it should be self-evident why the United States of America, that so-called great city, is known as spiritual Sodom. This is the #1 nation that pushes that alphabet agenda beginning with LG onto the rest of the planet, especially onto our people. You Israelites are heavy into that lifestyle, or what? So-called promoting that lifestyle. And where it says where also our Lord was crucified, hey, his image and what the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, whose true name is Yahawashi, is skewered and crucified in this place. That Christianity that's preached in this country has nothing to do with the scriptures or what Yahawashi actually taught, and his image has been replaced with that of an Edomite, or a so-called white man with brown stringy hair. When you go into Revelation chapter 1, verse 14, it clearly states what Yahawashi looked like. He had the appearance of a so-called dark skin, a very dark-skinned Negro with a white woolly beard and afro. But again, I'm going to mainly be focusing on why the United States of America is known as spiritual Sodom. This is the #1 country that pushes that lifestyle, really that death style, onto the rest of the planet through its government policies, its social media, you name it. Just look at Hollywood. Look at all these things that are promoted on YouTube, Instagram, a lot of these other platforms. And hell, we're coming to the end of the month of June, but what has the month of June been known as? The PRIDE month. But now, I'm going to go to an article on Breitbart.com titled, "The Party Never Stops. Admiral Rachel Levine declares Summer of Pride." Complete madness. Admiral, hey, this is one of the high up people in the government, was in the military as well. Hey, this is who's supposed to be running and defending the United States of America. Admiral Rachel Levine, the Assistant Secretary for Health for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, has declared, as Pride Month is coming to an end, that it should be a summer of PRIDE. Hey, this place is clearly spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah, as well as spiritual Egypt. Some brothers and myself were talking the other day, and before this article came out, the brother said, hey, it's going to go from, P month, to P year. And don't be surprised if, like, this society were allowed to go on, that all year that lifestyle would be promoted, PRIDE year. This place clearly needs to be destroyed. It's following after the same wicked lifestyles and customs of ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. And what happened to that place? It became an ensign. It became a warning as to what the Most High would do to punish a society that practiced those lewd acts. And it's going to be no different with this modern day spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah. Happy P month. And actually, let's declare it a summer of P. Happy summer of P. The Admiral, who is a Decepticon, posted the message on the official HHS Instagram account and posted similar sentiments on Twitter. And this agenda being pushed through all platforms, economic, politically, entertainment-wise, from the United States of America in this country onto the rest of the planet. But here's that Twitter post on, I believe it's the HHS Gov's Twitter page.
Hello, my name is Admiral Rachel Levine, and I have the honor of being the Assistant Secretary for Health at the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Happy Pride. Happy Pride Month.
Real quick, this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
And actually, let's declare it a summer of pride. Happy Summer of Pride. It's so important to have Pride as a celebration for our LGBTQI+ community and to recognize how far we have come, but also how much work we have left to do. So I am so excited to be here with Ryan Casada.
And that's all we need to hear, and that's all we need to see. And just like it's been a record-breaking hot summer in the United States of America, it's especially going to get hot in the United States of America when nuclear missiles hit this place as judgment from Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai for all the iniquity that this country has promoted and pushed, not just in itself, but onto the rest of the world. Remember, ancient Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed with fire and brimstone from the sky. It's going to be no different with this modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. But let's get back into these precepts. This is Revelation chapter 18. I'm going to start at verse 1. And the header reads, Babylon is fallen. And this isn't talking about the ancient Neo-Babylonian Empire. This is talking about the daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great, the mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, that so-called great city in Revelation chapter 11, verse 8, the United States of America. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory, speaking of Yahushai and his second coming. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. This is after Babylon the Great, the United States of America, is hit with 200 million nuclear missiles that's going to turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards, where after a time, only desert creatures are going to dwell here. Snakes, scorpions, vultures, lizards, stuff like that. Again, and it's become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And that's not talking about a literal bottle of Merlot that's been, aging for decades. That's talking about spiritual wine, philosophies, ideologies that Babylon the Great, the U.S., has pushed out onto the planet and made the people drunk off of her philosophies, taking people away from their old ways and bringing them into that new degenerate way. Democracy, feminism, the alphabet lifestyle, etc., etc. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. All these different nations have slept with this whore, so to speak, and what? They've done economic dealings with them and political dealings to where, they get the U.S. to send them weapons and other goods. And what? They sell a lot of their goods to the U.S. Remember, the United States of America is the #1 consumer nation on the planet of the earth. So again, these nations are in bed with the whore. And what do you have to do when you're in bed with the whore? You have to follow after what she wants. You can't displease her emotions. You got to promote that American Babylonian lifestyle in your country if you want to continue to get those goods. Look what just happened in Uganda. They passed a lot of heavy laws against that alphabet lifestyle. So the U.S. has threatened them with sanctions and talked about taking away necessary aid they need for their country to help their people. But let's go into that word fornication in the Strongs, which is G4202.
Strong's G4202. Pornaya. Pornaya.
Pornaya. What does that sound like? Porno, which this is the top country that pushes that pornography onto the rest of the planet, bugging people out. But let's go into the outline of biblical usage. Illicit sexual intercourse, adultery, which is heavily pushed in this country, fornication, homosexuality, Lebaноnism, intercourse with animals, etc., etc. That bestiality is pushed in this country as well. You got different states trying to decriminalize bestiality. But again, momos and Lebanese people and that lifestyle is heavily promoted in this country. So not only is the U.S. exporting money and weapons and aid to these different countries, but it's also exporting this fornication, this illicit sexual intercourse and these wicked lifestyles, that wine or that philosophies to these other countries as well. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and ye receive not of her plagues." That's talking about the elect of the nation of Israel over in the United States of America, the 1/3 and the 144,000 of the 1/3 being taken out of this place by getting beamed up onto those chariots, which people ignorantly refer to as so-called UFOs. And there's been such an uptick in chariot sightings all across the planet lately that these different governments have had to start talking about them. You've seen them show up in the media, and these different space forces are being set up to fight to do what? The cover story is to stop Russian and Chinese satellites, but really the powers that be, they know exactly what's coming. Yahweh Shai and the heavenly host, a fleet of chariots to make war against this beast system. But as the elect are getting beamed up onto the chariots, those nuclear missiles are going to be coming down and hitting this whore. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. When every single Edomite, and heathen, and Israelite who isn't of that elect number in the United States of America, when those nukes hit this place, are going to be wiped off the face of the earth. But reincarnation is biblical. The Israelites who were wicked and cut off on this side are going to be reborn righteous into the kingdom of heaven through the loins of the elect. And the heathens, including the Edomites, are going to be reborn through their surviving nation into the kingdom of heaven as well as slaves. But hey, they're going to be under the curses that the children of Israel were under, and double. Just read as it just says here, especially you American Edomites, you're going to get, that double portion of the curses for all the wickedness and iniquity you've committed against the children of Israel. The Most High is not mocked and has not forgotten your iniquity. But again, all you heathens going into the kingdom of heaven and getting that Deuteronomy 30:7 treatment, where the curses of Deuteronomy 28, which are on the children of Israel, are going to be on all of you. But there is a caveat. After that first 1,000 years, the other heathen nations, except the Edomites, are going to be allowed to go back to their lands and live in peace under the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai in the scriptures. And if they get out of line, the Israelites are going to punish them accordingly. But as for you Edomites, every single Edomite man, woman, and child after that first 1,000 years is going to be gathered up and permanently culled from this planet by fire. That's going to be the end of your entire nation. Read Obadiah chapter 1, verse 18. How much she had glorified herself and lived deliciously. And what did they used to call this place? The land of opportunity, the American dream, the place whose streets were paved with gold. Everybody used to look at this whore as a virtuous and righteous woman and wanted to come here and start a new life and make money off of this place. And these are not only these American Edomites, though they're at the top of the list, but these other heathens, as well as you Israelites that live in America, you're proud as well. You think America's never going to go down, and this is just the pinnacle of existence, what life is supposed to be, and where all of y'all are sadly mistaken. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart or her mind, I sit a queen. This isn't even a kingdom, it's a queendom. We can clearly see that with how much women are worshipped and pedestalized in this country. And am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Hey, these are the colors that never run. America's never going to go down. There's no possible way that could happen. Verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord Yahweh who judgeth her. Fire from those 200 million nuclear missiles, that modern fire and brimstone that's going to hit this place. Verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And it's only going to take 1 hour from those nukes, as well as that concentrated heat, or the so-called laser beams from the chariots, to make a speedy riddance of this wicked kingdom, Babylon, America. And these heathens aren't going to be weeping because they're going to miss Uncle Sam and apple pie and baseball. They're going to be weeping because they're no longer going to be making money off of this whore. Verse 11, and the merchants of the earth shall weep, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Point blank, period. And the main nation that's going to lead this nuclear strike against this whore, Babylon, spiritual Sodom and Egypt, America, is going to be Russia. And what have you been hearing about in the news lately? So much talk of Russians deploying nukes and threatening to use them on the West, really the U.S., and that's all a part of biblical prophecy. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, daughter of Babylon, the United States, that mother of harlots, an assembly of great nations from the north country being Russia, because what's north of Babylon? Canada, that Arctic Ocean region, and then Russia. And it's a well-known fact that Russia is shooting missiles from itself across the north, across that Arctic Ocean region, as well as from its military assets in that Arctic Ocean region, which they've been building up over the last couple of years, nuclear capable, would be the shortest trajectory time for those missiles to reach the U.S. And that assembly of great nations unto the North Country are not just Russia's allies like China, Iran, or North Korea, but also America's own allies who are going to betray her at some point during World War III and ally themselves with that North Country to shoot those nukes onto this whore. Read Revelation 17, verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. The 10 horns speaking of the EU or European Union, beginning with the first 10 common markets of the EU back when it was known as the European Economic Community, and the beast being NATO. These shall hate that whore that rideth upon the beast, Babylon, America, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, nuclear fire. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And those arrows are symbolic for the missiles, because what do those missiles look like when they're flying through the sky? Arrows. And when the prophets saw these visions thousands of years ago, they weren't going to say a hypersonic Zircon missile, nuclear-tipped ICBM, Fat Man, a little boy, or anything like that. They had to describe it the best way they could with what they knew during their times. Ancient weapons of war, like bows and arrows, spears, javelins, flying swords, you name it. And real quick, I'm going to read a little bit of this article from the U.S. Sun.com, and just to further show that North Country is getting geared up to fulfill its role in biblical prophecy. DEFCON 1. Vladimir Putin vows to deploy world's most powerful nuke, Satan II, to combat duty in chilling new threat to the West, really the U.S., and was published on June 21st of this year, 2023. Vladimir Putin vowed to deploy his hypersonic Satan II nuclear-capable missile in a chilling new threat to the West. The Russian leader, the leader of the North Country, said that the new generations of the Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missiles, thought to be the world's most powerful, would soon be deployed for combat duty. Remember, Russia also moved tactical nuclear missiles to its neighbor, Belarus. Let's see. The Satan II was designed to carry out nuclear strikes in countries thousands of miles away. Here's a little infographic of it. I'm going to just hit the main points. The new 208-ton hypersonic Satan II rocket measures 116 feet in length and can be loaded with 15 light nuclear warheads at once. So if 200 million nuclear missiles seems like a large number to you, just remember, with all these missiles that these nations are going to be shooting, the warhead, the front of the missile isn't just one warhead. It breaks open and is filled with multiple warheads. And they could be just saying for official purposes that there are 15 warheads in there. Who knows how many are actually in there and what other advanced nuclear capable weapons Russia has that they're holding back in their stock, as well as these other countries. The weapon was designed to carry out nuclear strikes in countries thousands of miles away in the U.S. and Europe. It has the potential to obliterate the United Kingdom some 1,600 miles away in just 6 minutes. And I also read somewhere that the Sarmat can destroy a land area the size of Texas and Paris as well. And with an operational range of up to 11,180 miles, the deadly missile is reported to have no equivalent in the West in terms of the terror it could unleash, all through the will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, putting it on the mind of these Russian Edomite scientists to create these advanced, unstoppable, nuclear-capable weapons to fulfill prophecy, taking that whore, Babylon. Let's get back to Jeremiah 50, and I'm going to jump down to verse 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north, that north country, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth, from one end of the earth unto the other, the four corners, these different nations, allied unto the north country, not just Russia's own allies, but America's own allies who are going to turn against her at some point during World War III to ally themselves with Russia. They shall hold the bow and the lance, those nuclear missiles, as well as the launch platforms, because what does the bow shoot? Arrows. So you know the glide vehicles for the hypersonic missiles, the silos, you name it. They are cruel and will not shew mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. Not the Neo-Babylonian Empire, but the daughter of Babylon, the United States of America. And when you go to Psalms 137, verses 7 to about 9, you'll see that the Edomites, these so-called white people, are synonymous with the daughter of Babylon. But now I'm going to jump up to verse 40. As the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof. And remember, besides being known as the daughter of Babylon in the scriptures, Babylon the Great, the U.S. is known as that so-called great city, spiritual Sodom and Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8, which is clearly easy to see. As the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, with ancient fire and brimstone from the sky, saith Yahweh, and he's going to overthrow it with that modern day fire and brimstone, those nuclear tipped ICBMs, 200 million of which again is going to turn this place into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland where man, woman, or child will never set foot on ever again, as it's about to say, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. And we know this isn't talking about ancient Babylon, which is in modern day Iraq, because people are clearly dwelling there to this day. And after a time, only desert creatures are going to dwell here, a habitation of devils and every foul spirit, in the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Therefore the wild beasts of the desert, with the wild beasts of the islands, shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. And when everything's said and done, the former United States of America, spiritual Sodom and Egypt, Babylon the Great, is going to stand as an eternal memorial as to what a wicked kingdom looked like, how not to govern the earth, and especially what the judgment and punishment was for afflicting the apple of the Most High's eye, the children of Israel, again known as you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. As we can clearly see, we're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, primarily from the United States of America. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.